The return of the Entertainers is a walking football match that takes place at Gateshead Leisure Centre on Saturday the 6th of June 2026 in aid of Age UK North Tyneside, sponsored by Shout Digital and Darren Baldwin Funerals. Tickets available from our website or from Woucher. There's also an opportunity for you to play in the game, either with or against the legends. Go to our website nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk for more details. 29th of January 2027 sees an evening with Beardsley, Cole and Ferdinand at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House, hosted by John Gibson. Tickets are on sale now from the box office 0191 243 1171 or tynetheatreandoperahouse.uk or directly from us at our website. Northern Horizon is a Blake 7 convention in aid of Age UK North Tyneside. Tickets available from our website. And Rebel Base Northeast, the Star Wars fan convention, Sunday the 2nd of August at the Copthorne Hotel. Tickets available on our website. The Craze, Fred Dinage, Ronnie, Reggie and Me takes place at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House, box office 0191 243 1171 or tynetheatreandoperahouse.uk. That takes place Wednesday the 11th of November at 7:30. We've also got some books available on our website. Will Scott's popular Entertainers book, 92 to 97, Kevin Keegan's Legacy, is available now. And The Promoter and the Photographer, 25 years of bringing the stars to Tyneside, all proceeds going to Age UK. All books available, nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk. We still do 7 NUFC Matters shows for free a week. But if you want to support the channel, there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast or video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications option. Hit the thanks button to buy a super sticker. You can do this on the live chat too. You can also join our Patreon page or buy us a coffee at the link in all of our video descriptions below. We are also looking for sponsors. If you want our latest advertising rates and how you can get involved, then email John at nufcmatters1892@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you,
Good morning, welcome along to NUFC Matters. It is a live Q&A with me, Steve Wraith. 45 minutes I'll do this morning because obviously we've got the press conference coming up at 9:30 and we'll find out from Eddie Howe what the state of affairs is before we take on Manchester City this weekend. And thanks to John Askew, as always, he's pinged over a few questions nice and early by email. So if you've got any questions, it doesn't have to be football related, of course. You can stick them in the chat and I will get through as many as I can today. Roger, I've just seen this one. Do you prefer to have a or any particular type of beard? It's a strange one, that, Roger, because first of all, nowadays, it's probably the only hair I can grow. I've always had, well, I'm saying always had, since I was 16, I've had a skinhead. It was a choice. It was a fashion statement. I was into punk music when I was a kid. I wasn't your traditional skinhead, but I was just, I shaved my head. My dad hated it, and there was always there was a bit of a clash between me and my dad. And I just pushed and pushed and pushed, and I've had this haircut, basically since I was a kid. So I've got to the stage now in that age in life where it doesn't grow back in certain places, and it suits us. But people haven't really seen me with hair. There is one or two photos out there of us with long hair. But yeah, the goatee beard is probably me chosen look these days. If I tend to grow a beard, it's because I've got a part. I've got an acting part coming up. Certain parts, might need a bit more facial hair. Sometimes in the audition process, it's asked for. Would you be able to grow hair or grow hair for a particular role? So yeah, it's a valid question. It's a good question. I think the goatee beard's probably the better look for me, and it's the only bit of grooming I've got to do as far as my hair's concerned. I don't have to have a load of hair products and stuff like that. Shaving my head is I do a wet shave on my head, Roger. A lot of people use razors and stuff, but I prefer the old-fashioned way. But yeah, a lot of it depends on acting roles, mate. And although I'm not on your TV screens on a regular basis, I've got a good back catalogue of films. Obviously, done BBC ITV drama series over the years. But I do quite a bit of stage work, and hoping to do a bit more of that moving forward. But couple of things in the pipeline. There is a new film in the pipeline, which I know that I'm on pencil for, but at the moment it's no filming dates are forthcoming. But it just depends, and of course that affects the show. Affects me going to see games. It affects me being able to do the show, and over the last few years, it's been rather fortunate that I have been able to pre-record shows before I do work, and stuff like that. Even when I've performed like in plays, I've been able to do the show maybe it's in the morning or the afternoon, so you can always tell when I'm working, when I'm basically I'm having to do shows at an odd time or a different time. So yeah, that's it. Gone all the way around the houses to tell you about that, but there you go. I don't like to presume that acting roles was the reason. Thanks for the answers. No worries, Roger. Blue Rhythm Boy says, what's your thoughts on Arsenal's blip, and who do you think will win the league? It's a good question because the Premier League is so poor this year. I don't. It's people are saying it's exciting. It's great because anybody can beat anybody. I just think it's been a poor league this year, and I think what, if Newcastle hadn't had Champions League football this year, I think Newcastle could have been in with a chance of winning the league. And I know that might sound bizarre to people, with the season that we've had, but we're as good as anybody in this league. But the fixtures have killed us. And I think Newcastle would have been certainly still within the runners and riders for, maybe the top two. And why not? But the fixtures have killed us. The games have killed us. The little injuries the players have picked up has killed us. And that has been a big problem, I think. But Arsenal's blip, it's known in sports psychology as choking. That's the problem. And Arsenal are choking again. Spurs have choked many, many times. Newcastle have choked in the past. It's part of the psychology of sport. I did a sports psychology degree. I never finished it. I started it, but I didn't finish. And it was one of the things that I did pick up from it, So yeah, very, very strange to see them do it. Who do I think will win the league? I think Man City will win the league. I think Man City will make that run. They are capable of dropping points again, and hopefully they'll drop points tomorrow. But yeah, I genuinely think Man City will still win the league. Can't watch other games anymore, just Newcastle. I agree, football is getting boring. It's getting boring. It is getting boring. I think it's getting boring because it's not the same game that we all fell in love with. And I've said it many times, people who watch this show, we're all of a certain demographic. Some of us are older than others. And we are not looking through rose-tinted glasses or black and white glasses. We're looking back on a past which was the working man's game. It's now not the middle class game. It almost feels like we're heading towards the upper class game, and it's a strange scenario. It really, really is. I thought we'd be up there with Villa this season, challenging in the top four. Yeah, well, I said fifth and would win the FA Cup. I've still got the tweet, which I will put out there at the end of the season to show everybody, but I've still got the screenshot of the tweet. So fifth place and FA Cup winners was my prediction. So I was pretty much the same as you, mate. Morning, John. Do you agree that even taking PSR into account, we can upgrade contracts for the likes of Tino and Hall? And if we're going to drive forward, we really need to do it. I mean, I know, John, this is probably one of your most favourite questions, and you ask a similar question each and every Q&A for most of us, because it's frustrating that we aren't tying these players down. If you believe the media, you're led to believe that Tino Livramento is wanting to wait till the end of the season. Is that true? I don't know. Lewis Hall, I know people who know Lewis Hall's mum and dad, and he is one of those players who doesn't want to go anywhere. He's clearly had doubts about whether he's valued at the club. There's no doubt about it, especially when he's struggled at times to get back into the team. But, or when he's not been picked for a particular game, I'm pretty sure that he'd be pretty downhearted about it. But I genuinely think that it will happen. I don't think Tino will want to leave, but he will have to be given the money. I think the one thing with Tino as well, I think, and people are mentioning it on social media, that Tino's injury record is it's not questionable. It's just it's a worry, do Newcastle looking at him as potentially one to cash in on? If they do, they're going to need a couple of right backs because Kieran Trippier can't go on forever. So upgrade for contracts is something that we need. I'm sure that Newcastle will get it right. I'm sure that the players that we need to keep a hold of will keep a hold of. And anybody who doesn't want to be here will go as Alexander Isak did. Has the ladies' team been forgotten about? It feels like the ladies' team has been forgotten about. Amanda championed it. I think the initial euphoria around the women's team and the fact that it was being recognised, bearing in mind under Ashley, the club struggled to even support it with its own strips. It's come a hell of a long way in a short space of time. And I genuinely think that it's still very much part of the remit. And so it should be. But at the same time, it does feel as if it's not as much, it's not in the spotlight as much. And, maybe it almost feels as well that, it's in Gateshead. It's almost like out of sight, out of mind, But I don't think it's been forgotten about, but I get where you're coming from with a question. I really do. Surely this summer we won't sell all three, Tino, Gordon and Sandro. If anything, we only sell one key player this summer and not let it drag on like the Isaac situation. Gordon has come out quite categorically and laughed at the rumours linking him with a move. So I would say that Gordon's highly unlikely. Tonali, I think we all know that, his agent was up to a little bit of mischief at the end of the transfer window. And then, only a couple of weeks ago with his quote in one of the Italian newspapers. Tino, I think there was a big push for Tino potentially by the media to be linked with Man City, but that's cooled now. Certainly since he got injured. Man City certainly seem to be looking at, other options on the right back situation. So, look, we don't necessarily have to sell anybody this summer. A lot will depend on whether Newcastle get Champions League football. A lot will depend whether Newcastle win a trophy this season, maybe as well. Because if we win a trophy this season, if we win the FA Cup, if we dare to dream and say we won the Champions League or got to the final at the very least, then Newcastle would be taken very, very seriously. And people would say, look, it's about being a team that challenges, maybe not as much about the money that we can make. So yeah, I genuinely think that if Newcastle, let's say Newcastle got to the quarterfinals, semi-finals of the Champions League, they're going to be taken very seriously. And you've got to then take your hat off to Newcastle that they're doing it against all the odds. So I think players will certainly want to come to Newcastle. They will see there's an opportunity and ambition, and you've got to give credit to Eddie Howe. 3 weeks ago, he looked bereft, he looked forlorn, he looked, beaten, but he's bounced back as he always does. and that's a sign of a true great as far as management's concerned. But I don't think we'll sell. If I was going to pitch it now, I don't think we'll sell any of those players in the summer. Thoughts on the Walter Mara situation? Is it failing of Eddie that he isn't scoring like he can for Germany, or does Big Nick need to step up? Has Nick agreed to this deeper role? Can it work? I do think the deeper role will work. I said a couple of weeks ago that, and I think Mitch reiterated it on one of the Amigos shows. Might have been Stu on the Professionals. I can't remember now, but I think we've all pointed to the fact that Eddie stumbled across Joe Linton's position when Kieran Clark got sent off. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was Stu. And I think that Voldemort will end up in that position. He scored a few goals for Germany, but listen, I'll remind everybody, the opposition in international football is poor for the majority until you get to the big tournaments. I wouldn't say that Walter Mata is the next Harry Kane. What I would say is that Walter Mata is a very talented player. He's very skillful, but I think that Eddie can get the best out of him in the position he's now found himself in. I think goals will still be part of his makeup, but I think creativity and being that link player will be where he finds his fame and fortune, if you like. So I would keep Voldemort. I haven't seen what I've seen this season in fits and starts, but I would play him in that deeper role. Eddie and his coaching staff have stumbled across different formations because they've had to play without Bruno, Joe Linton in particular this season. And that they're now getting that opportunity to blood the new players. So we've all been very, concerned about the recruitment. What Eddie said a few months ago, judge players at the end of the season, that's proven to be correct, and I still think I know there's a lot more to come from Alanga and Ramsey in particular, and Voldemort, of course, but I think we'll see the best of them. Eddie's starting to get the best out of them. In your opinion, Steve, how do we solve the Voldemort conundrum? Is the future with him or without him? Well, I think I've answered that question. I think the future is with him. Gary, I know you're a huge fan. I see your comments in the chat each day. I genuinely think that Voldemort has got a future at Newcastle. I think he will become every bit as important as Joe Linton and Bruno has become. So, I think the future is with Voldemort and not without him. Fab pushing Gordon to Liverpool this summer now with his latest tweets. Is that Fabrizio Romano? I mean, look, these people are living on social media. That's their job. So I wouldn't get too carried away with any of that, I genuinely think that Gordon will want to stay at Newcastle. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Don't get excited with this transfer window, because if the business isn't done right at the start of the window, then it won't get done until the end, because the World Cup is anyone involved in the World Cup will move in that last week of the transfer window. It's just the way that it works, unfortunately. With us having a comfortable victory in the first leg of the Champions League, do you think Howe will give Sean Neve a start at home? I don't, Tom. I think he may well give Willa Sula and maybe Johan Wissa, if he's fit, a start. But I don't envisage Sean Neve starting the game. I do think Sean Neve will play some part, and I think as long as Newcastle, manage to get, through that first half without conceding 4 or 5 goals, I think that we will see some of the youngsters have a little bit more game time in front of a packed house at St James's on Tuesday. But I would expect Eddie to start strong and then bring in players, because he will have one eye on his next set of fixtures coming up. But I don't expect Sean Neve to start. I'll be very surprised if that happens. John says, I'm spot on. I'm becoming tedious, but it's crucial. If we don't sign them up, I would question the ambition and where we're going. I don't want to go there to our time. I don't think that'll happen, John. So I wouldn't worry too much. Don't lose any sleep over it. Morning, David. We've moved away from 4-3-3 and it's going well. Eddie wouldn't revert to type, or would he? I think, like I've said, I think Eddie's realised. I don't think Eddie's ever, changed his formation on a regular basis, but he has done it in the past. You go back over the 4 years, he has changed things when he's needed to. But I think Eddie will admit he's always learning, and I think he will have looked at this, this situation that he's found himself in, and realised that he hasn't got the players to play 4-3-3. So he has changed it, and he has got Voltemada sitting at the tip of the midfield and being that link player, and it works. It does work. It's been very notable this season that we've got centre halves and defenders who are willing to push up. Once upon a time in the 90s, we had Philip Albert, who, used to bomb forward, and you had Darren Peacock standing at the back on his own. We've got the same now. We've got Malik Chow bombing on. We've got Dan Byrne bombing on. Botman, when he's played, has bombed on. So, we've got defenders. Fabian Schär, who's scored probably one of our top scoring defenders or centre halves ever. So we've got centre halves who like to have a dig. So yeah, I think it is going well, but I always think he will revert back to 4-3-3 when he can, and when he's got the players available who can play that formation. I've slated Eddie for daft decisions, so only fair to balance it out. He's tweaked the team regarding Voltemada and Gordon. We look more of a threat. Some people are not happy with it, but it's worked. It has, Andrew. It has worked. And listen, we can all have an opinion, and we can all be right and we can all be wrong. And I think half the thing is being able to put your hand up when you have said something and just say, well, actually, I was wrong. I did it the other week. I put a thing out on Twitter when I was at the Spurs game, and I got lambasted for it. But when I watched the game back, I was wrong. And I think if you can come out and say you're wrong, that's fine. Don't continue to argue the toss about something when, you have made a mistake. But we're all just human at the end of the day. Another YouTuber suggested Gordon deliberately not passing to Voltemada. Do you agree Gordon is sabotaging to boost his own numbers? I think it's nonsense, but Supermac used to say the same as Shelby. Yeah, Supermac did used to say the same about Shelby. Look, only the players know whether they've got an issue with other players. I would be very surprised if that happened. And I think if that kind of thing did happen, it would sharp come out in the dressing room, and Eddie would make no bones about it. He would sort it out. So I don't think that's gone on. But you never know. The recent formation changes enforced or not, do they align with Eddie Howe's continuous self-learning? Just his rating a bit slower than we'd like? Yeah, self-learning. I think that's what I was saying before. It's a strange scenario. It's a strange scenario that a manager as good as Eddie Howe, who's now won us our first trophy in 7 years, says, I'm still learning. But he's honest, because we're all learning in whatever job, or, even in life, we'll learn every day, and we learn from our mistakes. So yeah, Eddie's no different. He's a human, and he's no different. Voltemada's class. It's his first season in the EPL. He's done okay, and he'll do better. We're still getting used to him, and vice versa. Exactly. JRWS, Steve, if asked, would you get involved in working with a club again in any capacity? No, JRWS, I would not. No, thank you. I'm a fan, a supporter, and I'm emotionally attached to the football club. And being emotionally attached to the football club for me means that if the club did something wrong, I, even at the ripe old age of 54, could not keep my mouth shut, and I just couldn't. It's the way I am. It's the way I've been brought up. And yeah, I genuinely think that if the club are doing something wrong, they should be held to account. They should be told. And the problem is that the club wouldn't like that. And that is the reason that I would never work for the football club. It's why I prefer, like Steve Hasty, like Neil Mitchell, like Stu Penman, like George Mitchell, and everybody else who's on this platform, like to be the critical friend, because that way you can be, you can be honest, you can tell the club when they're doing wrong, or you can praise the club when they're doing right. But it's the best way to be. The fans liaison officer job was a farce, really. I was there for 18 months. All of those fans who didn't want us in the job tried to make me life misery. Thank God there wasn't social media back in those days. There was only MySpace. But they did use the fanzines to slag us off and to try and blacken me name. But for me, I just got on with it. I moved on. I was too young for that job. I really was. I was too young, and and at the time it was literally just a talking shop, a bit like the FAB is now. The one thing I can always say, despite having two left feet, I signed a contract for Newcastle United. You can never take that away from me. And, I was employed by the club that I love, but I would never do it again. Which player would you put most money on leaving the club this summer out of the big names? I don't think anyone will leave Blue Rhythm Boy. I think we'll have a summer of positivity. There, I've said it. I think we'll have a summer of positivity compared to last year. I don't think there'll be a big name leave. I think the biggest name that'll leave is Ramsdale. I don't think we'll make the move permanent. I think we'll sign somebody else, but I think we will keep all the big name players. I genuinely do. We must remember Eddie has to do what is best for the whole team, not just Voldemort. We're getting results now, so why start changing to accommodate one player? I just think he's been forced into it, mate. I think he's been forced into it, and I think that's the difference. We were saying on here when we were going through that little period of discontent that Eddie and the lads needed to work this out between them. It took another defeat to Brentford, and a small amount of people booing at the ground to hit home with the players. And Gordon's come out now and said that did affect them, and it made them have a look at each other. Also, a little reference to how not fickle football fans are, but how quickly football changes. So they get it. The players get it. They understand the situation, and so they should. They're professional footballers. But yeah, I don't think he's done it to change it for Voldemort. I think he's done it for the better of the team. Steve, is the small minority of the fan base who seem to thrive on negativity becoming more toxic? I don't think it can become any more toxic. I think, and I've said it many times on here, do what I do. Look at your social media settings and, block accordingly and move on. And I did that years ago. And, bearing in mind as well, right, I've been controversial within the fan base. I interviewed Tommy Robinson on this platform when I was doing true crime and I was doing, I was doing football, and that really, some people will say that was stupid. If you read my book, you'll know why. I did a book called Every Boy's Dream with another author who wrote the book. It's not a book that I hate, but I wish I'd written it myself rather than allowed somebody else to write it. But I tell you the story in there why I did that, and I'm still pleased I did it. But that really just set the bloody fan base on fire. I wasn't championing anybody. I don't get involved in politics. Look at me social media. I don't comment on politics. I never have, and I never will do now. But the minority of the fan base thrived on what they saw as my downfall then, and I just don't think it's become any more negative. I just think it's the same. But I think if you alter your settings on your social media, you will not see any of that, Gary. And if it does affect you, Gary, get off it. Just get off it. Close Twitter down. You don't need it in your life. I only have social media really now to promote events and to do what I can to raise money for Age UK North Tyneside. And if I ever stopped, doing events and stopped the podcast, that would be it. I would just take my social media down. I've got no need for it. But it's a necessity when you're promoting things and want to get the word out about something. But is it a small minority who are getting more toxic? I think they've always been toxic, but I don't see them, so I don't know, really. Have you been surprised with Lewis Hall's progress? He's arguably our best player at the minute. When he's on the ball, he seems to instinctively know what to do. I haven't been surprised. I knew he was a good player, and he really is starting to come to the fore. And he can play midfield, he can play left back, he can play right back. I'm pretty sure he'd be able to play centre half as well. He'd do his best for you, but he's like John Anderson. He'd run through a brick wall for you. Blue Rhythm Boy, how many Newcastle players will be in the England squad at the World Cup, and will any make the starting 11? Anthony Gordon will, Dan Burn will. Both of them will be in the starting 11 for me. I think if Tino Livramento is able to regain fitness as he's supposed to at the start of March and have an unblemished run at the end of the season, I think Tino will be certainly in for consideration. And I think Lewis Hall might be a late call. A lot depends on what happens on that left-hand side with injuries and stuff and form for other players. but I still think Lewis Hall could walk into that. Tuchel's been to see us a few times. Hall's been brilliant. I would be very surprised if Hall doesn't get a call up for the next set of friendlies. FA Cup 5th round. Manchester City is live on TNT Sports Saturday the 7th of March at 8 p.m. It is, Tom, under the lights. Ugh, I hate it. Are you a gym bunny? I hate the phrase, but you know what I mean. How often do you not go up? I always do 10,000 plus steps every day, mate. I average at the moment about 16, 17,000. I don't drive, Roger, so I tend to walk a lot of places. And yeah, I go to the gym, but I mix it up, Roger. I do different cardios. If I go to the gym, I'll tend to do the bike, because I get out and walk quite a bit. So yeah, I am, mate. I do keep myself fit, and again, that's part and parcel of my career, really, as an actor. I want to stay fit. You know, I want to be getting certain roles, so I need to keep trim. I watch what I eat, as well. You know, back in the day when I was doing the door, I was 17 stone 2. I'm down to 14 and a half stone these days. Some people say I look too thin, but I'm happy at that weight. I'm functioning still at that weight. And that's it, really. But yeah, I do still train. So a gym bunny, Roger, I would say yes, 100%. I've already done that, Steve. Also, the toxic shows too. Yeah, Gary, it's the best thing, mate. Les, good morning. Social media is getting out of hand for keyboard warriors. Yeah, Les, it's just, you know, I think as well that they're up, believe it or not, and I said this, people were going, oh yeah, you're joking, aren't you? There are paid trolls. There are people who are on troll farms paid to troll people who back certain things. So, for example, when we were back in the Saudi takeover, there was people, literally bots, attacking me, Steve, Mitch, you know, Keith Patterson. All of us were targeted and part of that, you know. So it can get out of hand. It really can. Hopefully, one of the good things this government seem to be doing is cracking down on social media accounts that are doing things which are, which are getting out of hand. So let's hope that there is a bit of a crackdown. I'm not looking for like a Russian Chinese kind of crackdown on social media. This country's always prided itself on having freedom of speech, but yeah, I think there does need to be more control. And if the social media companies aren't going to do it, then our government needs to. Would like to see Harvey Barnes make the England squad. I don't think he's good enough, Tom. I think he's a good player, and yes, he's scored lots of goals for us this season. I don't think he's good enough to play for England. I see that he's knocked Scotland back. I think he should have gone with Scotland. I think he could have been a hero in the blue of Scotland. But I think there are better players. But some will say, well, Anthony Gordon's in, and yet Barnes has been a better player. I just don't see it. I don't think he's going to have that. I don't think he's going to have that call. But I may be wrong. But I don't know. We'll agree to disagree. Steve, you and the lads are to be applauded for the amount of money you raise for deserving charities. What charities are closest to your heart? Age UK, mate. Age UK, North Tyneside, because of the dementia side of things. And the reason that I got involved with dementia was because a local playwright called Arthur Mackenzie, his wife was diagnosed with dementia, and Arthur's written many plays over the years. He was a shot putter for England. Then he was a copper in Newcastle. Then he became a scriptwriter. He wrote over 30 episodes of The Bill. He wrote quite a few episodes of Casualty, but he's written lots of plays. And I've been fortunate enough to have been in 4 of those plays over the years, stemming from being 15, 16 to doing a play called Blackbird in the Snow last year for him, which I did at the Laurels in Whitley Bay. So me and Arthur go back a long way. He's also written a film. I was in a film called Harrigan with Stephen Tompkinson up in the Northeast, although blink and you'll miss us. But what happened was Arthur wrote a book of female monologues called From Dialogue to Monologue. And these are all about dementia. And the book's a tenner. We sell it on our book website, which I'm sure I can stick in the chat. Mojo Rising Publishing, From Dialogue to Monologue. And during lockdown, he wrote these monologues for women about dementia. And he also started painting during lockdown. And those two bits of artwork there are his paintings. So that's the cover of the book. He wanted the book published, but he wanted to give the money to dementia. So I published the book for free. And I said to him, he said, look, I need a charity that we can donate the money to. So it was Dementia Matters that I approached, who had a place in Newcastle called the Bradbury Centre. I went up there, I met them, asked them if they would be interested. I said, you're going to get a book for free. All proceeds go to you. And that's how it started. And from that moment, I found myself having gone around the centre and met the people who stayed at the centre, and they showed me the work that they did and met the nurses. I haven't raised money in the past for things like the NSPCC, St Oswald's, the Bubble Appeal. I've raised. Somebody's trying to say how much you've raised. I think I've raised somewhere in the region of 500,000 in 25 years for different charities with all the different events I've done. And this really was it felt personal because I met the people and I thought, actually, I want to help do a bit more. So that's why, with my small football events, I decided to try and raise some money for them. Sadly, the charity went bust, and mainly down to the fact that COVID had hit. Like a lot of charities, they were allowed to extend their credit with like the HMRC, their tax bills, etc. And a new CEO came in, and I think we'd raised £5,000 from the very first fanzine. And he said, I don't want you to give us the money. He says, I think we may lose the centre and the charity might have to be wound up. So at the same time, Sonia Rowe from Age UK North Tyneside Dementia got in touch. And she said, look, Steve, we know the situation. We've been told that you are an ambassador for that particular charity, Dementia Matters. We're wondering if you'd like to come on board and be somebody who would be an ambassador for us. And that's how I've ended up doing it for Age UK. It's very simple. And I could have just said, no, I just did it for them. I'm going to walk away. But no, I said yes. And that's where we're at. So, for me, it's been a really great ride so far. I was at a place in Whitley Bay last night for the CEO. She's just been awarded an OBE for charity fundraising for Age UK and raising the profile. But yeah, it's something that I enjoy doing. So yeah, that's why I'm doing it. And we raised just short of 10 grand last year for Age UK. I'm hoping to raise 10 grand this year for them. So that's where we'll go. But there's the website. Let me get it back on the screen. Where is it? There we go. MojoRisingPublishing.com. If you go there, you can buy a copy of that book for a tenner, and all proceeds go to the Age UK charity now. They did originally go to Dementia Matters. We're also going to perform those monologues. I'm going to get a few actresses who I know who are very keen to help. Probably put them on at the Irish Centre, so keep an eye out for that. That'll be another little fundraiser that we will do for them. I'll leave that on the screen while I get through your questions. Thank you, Roger. I don't do it for the respect, mate. I like to give something back, mate, and that's the key, really. It really is. Would you offer Trippier an extension of his contract or offer him the chance of a coaching position in the academy? Les, I would do both. I would offer him a coaching position with the first team, within the first team, not the academy. I think he'd be great for the academy, but I think the academy needs a huge shake-up. You could offer him a role running the academy, Les, but I'm not sure if that's what he wants to do. Would I offer him an extension to his contract? Yes, 100%. I'd give him another year's contract because I think we could get another year out of him. Certainly, mate, coming on, maybe not playing 90 minutes, but certainly coming on and doing the job for the last 10 or 15 in a game where you're 1-0 up and you need to tighten things up. 100%. With the possibility that Ramsdale will go back to Southampton, would you like the club to try one last time to sign Trafford, or would you like Wilson to bring in a continental keeper? You know what, with Trafford, it's so frustrating because, the grass hasn't been greener. He thought he was going there to be number one. The rumours or the story coming out of Man City is that he didn't know that they were going to go and bring another goalkeeper. He feels a little bit, hard done by. it feels like Ekitike though. It feels like if we went in for him again, would just get mugged off at some point. So I think there's better keepers out there. I wish we'd signed Roof that Sunderland signed. What a player he is! What a really good goalkeeper he is. Probably one of the goalkeepers of the season, and one of the finds of the season by the scouts at Sunderland. So I genuinely would like to see maybe Newcastle look around and try and find one. But yeah, I like Ramsdale as a person. He's clearly a good team player, but I don't think he's better than Pope. I really don't. So yeah, I would like to see us get another keeper, whether it's Trafford or not. I'm not so sure. I really hope Borough come up. It's a tough game for them against Coventry through the week. It's going to be nip and tuck, isn't it, with them? I thought they would have got a draw down there, and they got beat 3-1, didn't they? But yeah, I'd like to see Borough up as well, mate. Do you know the true Geordie from YouTube? He's got strong opinions regarding Walter Marder. Would be interested to see you talk NUFC with him. Yes, I do know him. We're not best pals. He got introduced to me years ago when he very first made these videos. Do you remember his early videos, Blue Rhythm Boy, when he used to go on and do a 5-minute rant about Newcastle, slagging them off? He was one of the first YouTubers to make $1 million, I think. He's certainly got $1 million. He's worth £1 million. And he made a lot of money off it because of the endorsements and the sponsorships, etc. I've shared a train with him a couple of times. He's been in the same carriage as me, and we've sat and had a bit chat. Would he ever do anything with me? I doubt it. I think I'd need to be a Hollywood superstar as an actor, or somebody who played for Newcastle for me to get on his podcast. But I wouldn't say no. I don't mind him at all. But yeah, he has got strong opinions, and I've noticed that he has been putting a lot more football content out in recent years. Do you think the new SCR rules punish teams coming up, can't buy a new squad and spread the cost over 3 years like Forest and the Mackems did? Of course it is. It's just another way of stopping the top 6 getting challenged by people, and it's wrong, Blue Rhythm Boy. It is wrong. Agree on Ramsdale, Steve. He's different to Pope. He's not an improvement. Yeah, I don't think he is. I don't think he is at all. Nice lad. Seems to be part of the squad, a good part of the squad. When you watch him warm up, he's superb. His kicking's excellent. But maybe he was playing in the team when we were going through that dodgy phase, if you like. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. We've paid £25 million to have him here this season, haven't we? I think was that the script? I'm not sure. I'm not sure I would buy him. I really don't. Agent players, Murphy, Trippier, Burnshaw could be a completely new look Newcastle next season. It could be Wolf Morning, 100%. There's no doubt that Murphy struggled this season with injury. Shaw can't go on forever. Trippier can't go on forever. Burn, there's another 2 seasons in Burn in some way, shape or form. I think Trippier will get another year. I don't think he'll want Murphy to go next year. I'm not sure what Murphy's contract is. I think Shaw will probably go. People asking about big name player. Shaw's a big name player. Shaw will go at the end of his contract, his next contract. I think he got an extension, didn't he? Are the new rules better for us? I think it's pretty much the same. I don't think it helps us at all. Squad cost ratio, I don't think it helps us at all. But bearing in mind, I am not a financial expert. It's not my forte. Mitch and Stu know a little bit more about these things. Steve Hasty knows a bit more about it. I'm the same as you guys. I genuinely, I'm left scratching my head, and nobody really knows where the football club is because we only see the accounts once a year and they're a year behind. So we don't really know where the club are, and we don't know what these ins and outs mean. Financial experts can guess as well, but where are we? Is it better for us? Who really knows? Loan fee was supposedly 4 million. Thank you. I don't know where I've got 25 million from. It's a strange one. It really is a strange one, that. But I don't think we'll buy him. How did the 3 amigos and Stu all meet? We all met through football. Me, Steve, Mitch knew each other through politics, football politics. Fans groups campaigning against the club. That's how we all met. Me and Stu met through football as well, just through Newcastle United. So we all met through supporting the lads home and away, but through football politics. If it has to be fan-led to challenge the Premier League rules, why do you think no one puts up the money, Steve? Because people talk a good game, but don't want to put their money where their mouth is. It's as simple as that, mate. It's as simple as that. Okay, gotta go. It's 9:30, and Eddie's press conference will be starting. So go on, get yourself on to mojorisingpublishing.com. Even if it's not your bag, I'll guarantee you'll enjoy reading them stories. £10 is what it costs, from dialogue to monologue. And we will definitely be doing a performance of these at some point at the Tyneside Irish Centre. So keep an eye out. I will publicise it on here. Which former player or manager are you closest to? Super Mac. I'd say Malcolm, yeah, because I've known Malcolm the longest. I would probably say, if you want to, people who reach out, but players who reach out just for the crack, I'd say Peter Beardsley, Lee Clark, Steve Howie, Warren Barton, Nobby Solano, and Super Mac. Those are probably the 6 I'm closest to. And those are people who are classified as friends. They drop us a line, they'll, if there's something they want, obviously they will, but maybe it's just as ask how I am. So those are probably the players that I'm most closest to. Done a lot of work with the lads over the years as well. Okay, thanks everybody for tuning in. Don't forget, we will be back tomorrow. I think it's the professionals tomorrow. I'll have to double check, won't I? But we will be back tomorrow with a professional. No, got it. Three's a crowd tomorrow, 10:30. Professionals Sunday, 11 o'clock. There you go. Look forward to seeing you all then. Have a nice Friday, whatever you're doing. Take care. Thanks for tuning in. A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at their website, skipsandbins.com, or contact them, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to United Group Travel, our fanzine sponsor. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. 2-crew driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels and no interchanges. Hot and cold snacks and drinks available on the coach. All excursions included. Their website, www.unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com. Or telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. Deposits from £50 per person. A big thanks to Media Arts. Their website, www.media-arts.co.uk. Email info@media-arts.co.uk or telephone 0191 637 5061. If you want to help support the channel, then you can click the subscribe button. We still do 7 shows a week. It is free. Hit the thumb up to like the video and click share to share to your social media. A big thanks to Sports Social Podcast Network. You can listen to us on the road, on this network, or by tuning into iTunes, Spotify, or other podcast providers. You can also join the channel by hitting the join button on YouTube, or go to our website, nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk. You can pay a one-off fee of £25 and you'll receive a membership card, a beer mat, a fridge magnet, a key ring, a badge and a pen. £25, nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk.